you've been in politics long enough, you know there aren't many days where you get to deliver good news. So today's a good day. Thank y'all very much for being here today. I'm Christian Menifee. I'm the Harris County Attorney. I'm joined by some of the fantastic lawyers in our office. Our number 2 in the office, the Deputy County Attorney, Jonathan Fonbon, as well as Chris Garza and Jesse Blakely, who are in our affirmative litigation team. These are the folks who have been on the ground doing the work every single day. We're also joined by, and you're going to hear from, Mr. Mike Scranton, who is one of the victims of this scheme that was perpetrated, as well as Tracy Brandon, his real estate agent, who has been by his side throughout this entire process. Imagine your grandmother passes away. A year later, you find out that someone else is living in her house. Someone who never knew her, never spoke to her, but somehow claims the property is theirs. That's not a hypothetical. That's exactly what's been happening to families across Harris County. Now imagine you bought a home. You paid tens of thousands of dollars in cash and you were told that everything on the home checked out. Then 2 years later, you find out that the seller never actually owned the home in the first place. And you're out all of the money that you've spent. These aren't just stories. These are victims of a real estate scam run by someone who is addicted to fraud. A woman who forged deeds, who forged affidavits, and who even tried to file fake paperwork after we brought our case initially and the story was in the papers. Today, I am here to announce we have stopped Albo Martinez, and we have secured a final judgment that brings justice for dozens of folks across Harris County. Now, Mrs. Martinez ran 3 types of real estate schemes. She filed forged deeds with fake signatures and fake notaries. She filed forged affidavits of ownership, falsely claiming she had inherited or purchased homes, and she used the names of deceased people as intermediaries, claiming that a deceased person transferred property prior to their death to a third party, and then she filed a second deed saying that that third party had transferred the property to her. In around half the cases, the actual property owners were already deceased. And in one case, Mrs. Martinez even showed up after we'd won a court order, trying to file more forged documents, and the clerk's office turned her away. Now, there are 2 sets of victims in these cases. The first are the families whose homes were stolen right out from under them. Often, after a loved one had passed, these were properties they were entitled to through inheritance, through probate, or survivorship. And this fraudster tried to erase that. The second set of victims here were the unsuspecting buyers, and these were mostly non-English speakers who thought they were buying legitimate homes. Many of them paid cash, and some were getting deals that were too good to be true, and they were. They were taken advantage of, and these buyers lost tens of thousands of dollars. These scams didn't just take people's property. They shattered trusts, they disrupted families, and frankly, they stole dreams. And no person in Harris County should have to deal with a scam or with this type of fraud that impacts their ability to get access to generational wealth. Here's what we've done. My office launched a full investigation, and we filed a lawsuit against Mrs. Martinez and her partner. We secured a final court judgment, that's what we're here today to announce, that reestablishes the original owners as the rightful owners of these homes and this property. The order also orders $1.2 million in restitution for the buyers who were duped. And we hope that we can collect every single penny from Mrs. Martinez and her co-conspirator. The order also allows us to file an affidavit of judgment for each property so that the title companies and the public will know the history of what happened here, and so that these homes cannot be stolen again. Our investigators have spoken to virtually every single buyer, and we've made one thing very clear. The person who scammed you is the one who you need to sue, not the rightful owner of the property. We're doing every single thing we can at the county attorney's office to clean this mess up, and we hope that these unsuspecting buyers will too. Now, what happens next? Thanks to a new law that the folks in the Harris County Attorney's Office fought for, county clerks, including the Harris County Clerk, can now notify our office or the District Attorney's Office if they suspect fraud on a deed or other document showing ownership that's being filed with the clerk's office. And they can then put a hold on accepting that document until it is investigated by us or by the DA's office. This is a game changer. It gives us a chance to stop the scam before the scam happens. And we know that far too often, once the scam has already been perpetrated, it's very hard to get resources back for the people who have been victims. So stopping it on the front end is going to be very important. We'll also be recording affidavits with the judgment to flag every single affected property in this case. That's how we make sure that these homes are not stolen again and that these buyers are not misled again. We're committed to continuing this work. Look, this is what happens when local government fights back. When we stand up for the people that we represent, my office has made clear that we're not going to sit on the sidelines. We're going to investigate, we're going to go to court, and we're going to fight like hell to ensure that every single person in Harris County is protected from this kind of fraud. If you believe your property has been impacted or has been stolen or you've been scammed, go to scamfreehc.com and report it. The sooner we know, the faster that we can act. And let this be a message to anyone in Harris County who's thinking about pulling a scam like this. Harris County is not the place. We will find you, we will stop you, and we will make sure that you're held accountable. I want to thank the fantastic lawyers in the Harris County Attorney's Office for the work that they've done on this case. These scams have happened far too often, and we know that there are so many communities that have not had fair access to the American dream, to building wealth in their families. And the moment that they do, there are scammers like Mrs. Martinez waiting in the wings to steal that property out from under them. I'm glad that we've been able to hold her and her partner accountable, but I can guarantee you that the County Attorney's Office will continue this work, and that scammers and fraudsters and people who try to steal the hard-earned work and homes of people in our communities, we will target you and we will bring you to justice. With that, I'm going to invite up Mrs. Brandon and Mr. Scranton, and they're going to give you some marks, and then after that, we will open it up for questions.
Hello, everybody. My name's Mike Scranton, and about 15 years ago, I bought property to build a studio on, and then last year at Christmas time, I decided I was going to sell the property just because of all the development that was going on, which is what happens. So no big deal there, but I was very fortunate that I chose Tracy Brandon to be my realtor, because when she put it on the market, she found out that somebody had stolen my property through fraud, just signed it away, so to speak. She left no stone unturned, pulled together all the people that I would like to thank to get my property back, which I did get back. So I'm very grateful to Tracy Brandon, Bill Baldwin at Boulevard Realtors, who hooked me up with lawyer Dennis McQueen, who took care of all the legal issues. I'd like to thank Maya Shea, Channel 13, and her team. And I'd also like to thank Harris County Attorney Christian McAfee and his team of lawyers to worked hard to get back all the families' properties that had been affected by this scheme of fraud. So thank you to all those people, and thank you there. Okay.
Thanks. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm Tracy Brandon, realtor with Boulevard Realty in Houston and founder of HoustonDeedFraud.com. I'm honored to speak here today about protecting homeowners from deed fraud. This fight for me isn't just a legal one, it's personal. Recently, while helping my client, Mike Scranton, prepare to list his vacant lot, I noticed the county records didn't match his name as the legal owner, and that was a huge red flag. So I contacted the county clerk's office, the DA, the district attorney, the county attorney's office, a real estate attorney, and the HPD. With pressure through the media coverage guidance from Dennis McQueen, the real estate attorney that Mike hired, in support of the Harris County Attorney's Office, Alba Martinez, the fraudulent seller, admitted her wrongdoings, paid Mike's legal fees in a plea bargain, and the ownership of the property was restored with just in a few weeks. That one discovery led to so much more. 40 stolen properties, almost $10 million in value, which will all be returned to the rightful owners. It's proof that vigilance and partnerships bring real estate justice. Sadly, this isn't an isolated case. As Christian Menifee mentioned, Harris County has been seeing a troubling surge of these types of thefts. Scammers targeting seniors, people with language barriers or properties that appear to be vacant. They forge signatures, fake IDs and stamps, and fraudulent title deeds, leaving owners to fight costly battles to keep what's theirs. The Harris County Attorney's Office, under Christian Menefee's leadership, has taken aggressive legal action against these schemes, and they've launched the Stay Scam Free initiative, an outreach program that educates residents on how to recognize, report scams before they cause damage. That step is a huge step forward in our community for protection. At the state level, lawmakers delivered critical new tools, all taking effect September 1st, except otherwise noted. Bill 1734 allows victims to challenge fraudulent deeds in court without paying filing fees. Bill 647 empowers county clerks to reject suspicious deeds and requires property owners to be notified when documents are filed. Bill 693 deters fraudulent notary practices. And most recently, Bill 16, passed in August, creates new criminal offenses for real property and real property fraud. With tougher penalties, stricter filing requirements, and mandates photo ID for documents filed with county clerks to combat real estate fraud. Most of SB 16 becomes effective 91 days after a session adjournment, with one section taking effect January 1st, 2026. Together, these laws represent the strictest protections Texas homeowners have ever seen against deed theft. This progress wouldn't be possible without people who refuse to stay silent. I especially want to thank Mike Scranton, who trusted me with his transaction when it was stolen. Mike, your courage put a human face on all of this and pushed us all forward to act. And I want to thank Christian Menefee and his staff, including Jesse Blakely, who I initially took my call with, all with the Harris County Attorney's Office. Your lawsuits, leaderships, and your Stay Scam Free initiative have been instrumental in returning stolen properties and protecting families across Houston. But the work isn't finished. Realtors, attorneys, notaries, and neighbors must stay alert. If something looks off, question it, report it, because the earlier the fraud is caught, the easier it is to stop. To lawmakers, thank you so much for listening and passing these critical bills. Let's keep building on these reforms to ensure no homeowner, especially our most vulnerable, loses their legacy to fraud. Through persistence, partnerships, and awareness, we're making Houston safer for homeowners. Together, we can protect not just property, but people's futures. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tracy and Mike. And I'm very glad that we got that outcome for you, Mr. Scranton. I want to close just by noting that this is not something that you will see in counties throughout the state of Texas. This Stay Scam Free initiative was started up in our office, and we're trying to be affirmative in going after folks who do wrong by our communities, who do wrong by consumers. So the idea here is to target scams and to target fraud all across the county. The Attorney General's office does some of this work, but we took it upon ourselves to try to bring some of this at the county level because we're closer to the ground and we're able to directly interact with the people who are harmed. So with that, I will open it up for questions.
Looks like there's some reporting out there. I'm just reading directly from this other article. There was a Harris County judge that signed a default judgment for some of these properties. This was in August. Is this the judgment that you're talking
Yeah,
about?
it is. Mrs. Martinez didn't even bother appearing in the case. And that's why we were able, one of the reasons why we were able to very quickly get an order that allowed us to reestablish the rightful ownership to the original owners for each of these homes, and which granted $1.2 million in restitution for the unsuspecting buyers who were targeted. So that's the order.
Did she live in the area or work in that area? You mentioned someone else, a partner, was also involved, and was there more people?
So my understanding is it's her and her husband, domestic partner, and they do live in the area, which is one of, I guess, the great tragedies here, right? To perpetrate frauds against unsuspecting folks is wrong in any sense, but to do it against your own neighbors just takes a different level of gall. As I mentioned earlier, Mrs. Martinez, even after you all reported on this issue and we originally went to court, she still went to the Harris County Clerk's office to file a forged document. So I think it shows that there's a level of addiction here that needs to be addressed in scamming our communities. And so I'm glad that we got the outcome we got today. But we're sending our entire file over to the DA's office.
Was she well known in the office? Like you said, it's 40 applicants. You know, how did it happen for so long?
We learned, by the time we learned about it, this fraud had already been committed. Yeah, that's right. And I want to reemphasize that, for us, these are a first of its kind lawsuit to be filing at the county level, to really be targeting real estate fraud and using a patchwork of different state laws in order to do so. So this took a creative effort by the great folks who are standing behind me, and we're very proud of it.
Can you speak to how that $1.2 million restitution amount, that number was set? I think I heard something along the lines of $10 million that the sales were worth in total. So how was 1.2?
Jesse.
Yeah, I can answer that. That number is for the folks who paid cash mostly to Alba Martinez for the properties. I think the $10 million number mentioned earlier is the value of the properties themselves. There were folks who actually paid Ms. Martinez significant amounts of money to buy properties that she didn't own.
Got it. So the 1.2 million number is, would you say, is that equal to the amount that buyers paid altogether?
That number is a total number where you add up some other actual damages that are statutorily authorized. So it's not to the dollar, the amount, because there's other things that layer on top of that. But yeah, it was going towards $1 million probably, and that was paid to Ms. Martinez.
And it also doesn't, this order does not block the individual folks from filing a lawsuit against Ms. Martinez themselves if there's more money that they want to recover. I think I heard a question this one.
I just wanted to state his name and title.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Jesse Blakely, Senior Assistant County Attorney.
Right now we can't be sure, but I will tell you that this is a fraud that we've seen more and more examples of throughout the county. And it's not just Mrs. Martinez. We've seen other folks, and they tend to target certain communities, underserved communities, predominantly non-English speaking communities, African American communities. So there are many folks out there who are getting over on people doing this. My goal for the Harris County Attorney's Office is for us to build out this practice, really get a capacity internally to try to do this work at a larger scale and to stop each and every person that is scamming their neighbors.
How can people protect themselves and property?
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways. How can people protect themselves in their properties? I'd say the first thing is if you are inheriting a property from someone, you should contact the Harris County Clerk's Office to get a look at who the rightful owner of the property is. In the last legislative session, I advocated with multiple members of the Texas legislature for there to be a better notification system. But the moment that there's been a transfer in somebody's property, everybody who is involved in it is immediately notified. We're still working to get the law changed on that. There are also different tools you can use in the same way there are identity theft services. You can get the same thing for your real estate that allows you to keep on an updated basis have full knowledge of the ownership of your property and whether there's been any type of change in legal ownership. And if y'all have any services that y'all want to add. Okay, yeah, I'd say those are the two main ways. But part of the issue here is this is why this is so scary, is because if you inherit a home from a family member, most people are not thinking, I need to go downtown, right, or I need to call downtown to see if there's been any fraudulent transfer of the property. So we're going to do every single thing we can under this new law. If the clerk's office believes that there's been some fraudulent activity, they can bump it up to us and then they can block the transfer. And so we're very excited about that because it's going to give us the ability to be proactive. But up until now, there were not many proactive tools, and that's what's so scary about this type of fraud.
Criminal charges to this point?
We're going to be sending our entire file over to the DA's office. Our new DA, Shantier, has been a fantastic partner and has assured me that they're going to look into this. What I will say is what was committed here was very obviously real estate fraud. On the criminal side, there are certain elements that you have to meet in order to bring a criminal case. I have the utmost confidence in the district attorney's office that if there is a crime to be charged that is winnable, it will be charged.
This one suspect had tons of properties. Is there somebody else out there that's copying it or mimicking what she's doing? Are you guys on the verge of finding out other information?
We have another case right now that we're still in the very early stages of that involves an individual with a few properties. What you're seeing here is en masse just egregiousness. So we're continuing to learn more. One of the reasons I'm directing people to our website, scamfreehc.com, is because we learn about this from folks out in the community every single day. There's no database we can go to that's going to like ping for us who the folks who are doing most of this crime is. And so when people come to us with these individual stories, we learned about this case from a certain way. There's another case that we learned about. It was through a friend of somebody who worked in the office, who said that she went to go take a look at her sister's property who was deceased, and she found that there was a fraudulent notary that had signed off on the transfer of deeds. So I implore everybody who's watching this, go to scamfreehc.com. If you know of any fraudulent transfer, send it our way. You've heard from the folks about how good Jesse Blakely and that team are. I can assure you they're going to look into it, and if there's something to find, they will find it.
And in terms of taxes, who's paying the taxes on these properties? Because it would seem like when you got your taxes, there'd be a different name on the property.
It wasn't the same situation on every
Yeah.
property, but on many of them, the people who paid Miss Martinez money for the properties were also paying the property taxes on them because they believe that they own them. So
So when they got their tax bill, whose name would be on the property?
a lot of the folks would call up to the tax office and get their name substituted in as the property owner. And so they were able to accomplish that, and they were thinking they were doing the right thing. They thought they owned the property, had to pay the taxes on it, and we're going through that process.
Was she posing as a realtor, or how was she doing all this?
I don't think she was posing as a realtor. I think she,
Seller.
like Mr. Menifee said earlier, she targeted folks who weren't knowledgeable about the process and sold the properties below market value for cash most of the time. And I think she developed a relationship as their neighbor with a lot of them and someone who was helping them out with the deal.
How long will she have to return the amount of money that is owed? And are you prepared to take any extra steps in case she doesn't pay that?
Yeah, so we now have a judgment ordering her to give $1.2 million in restitution. My office is going to turn it over to our collections team, and we're going to use every single resource we have to collect that money. It remains to be seen as to whether she's going to have the money for us to collect, but we will stop at no end to get that money back for the folks who are unsuspecting buyers. And it's a betrayal of trust. When you're in a position where you own property and you're selling property to other people, people inherently place some level of trust in you. So the fact that she was doing this to her neighbors is reprehensible, and we're going to go after her. All right, thank y'all very much.